You've seen them before, but you've never seen their face, a voice on YouTube, a clip on TikTok, a story that sticks in your mind. But the person behind it? Completely invisible. And somehow, you trust them anyway. That's not an accident. That's psychology. It's called faceless authority, and it's quietly taking over the internet. But wait, why do we trust someone we've never seen? Let's slow down. Your brain wasn't built for screens. It was built for patterns, voices, confidence, repetition, not faces on a screen. So when someone speaks clearly and consistently, your brain does something automatic. It fills in the missing pieces, even if there is no face, even if there is no identity. But here's the strange part. Sometimes no face feels more powerful than a face. Why? Because mystery forces imagination, and imagination is stronger than reality. Let that sink in. When you don't see someone, your mind builds them. Stronger, smarter, more confident than they may actually be. But wait, this isn't new. Faceless authority existed long before the internet, the radio, the news voice, the audiobook narrator. You trusted them without ever seeing them, because authority was never visual, it was emotional. But now the internet changed everything. One voice can reach millions, without a face, without identity, without distraction, and that creates something powerful and a little dangerous, because faceless creators don't age, don't get judged, don't lose credibility based on appearance. They become ideas. But wait, here's the psychology behind it. Your brain has a shortcut. If someone speaks confidently, your brain assumes competence, even without proof. This is called authority bias, and faceless content makes it stronger, because there's nothing else to evaluate. No face, no expression, no distraction, just voice, just message, just certainty. And your brain locks in, but here's where it gets deeper. Faceless authority creates curiosity loops. You start asking questions. Who is this? What do they look like? Why don't they show themselves? And that curiosity keeps you watching. Again and again and again. But wait, there's another layer. Faceless creators feel more honest because there is no performance, no visual identity to maintain, no image to protect, just information, just thought, just message. And that feels real. But here's the twist. What feels real is not always what is verified, because when you can't see someone, you can't fully evaluate them. You only hear the voice, and your brain fills in trust. But wait, why does it feel so personal? Because faceless authority speaks directly to your mind, not your eyes, not your ego, but your attention. And that creates intimacy, even if it's one-sided. You feel like they understand you, but you've never met them. This is where it gets powerful and slightly dangerous, because faceless authority scales endlessly. One person can influence millions without being seen, without being questioned, without interruption. But wait, here's something most people miss. Faceless authority isn't about hiding. It's about removing friction. No bias, no judgment, no visual distraction, just pure signal. And in a noisy world, signal wins. But here's the emotional twist. People don't actually follow voices. They follow clarity. Because clarity feels like truth, even when it isn't. And faceless content often feels clearer because it removes everything unnecessary. But wait, what happens when everyone becomes faceless? The internet becomes louder, but less human. More content, less identity, more voices, less connection. And your brain adapts. It starts trusting patterns instead of people. But here's the deeper shift. Faceless authority is not just a format. It is a new identity. Because the creator disappears, but the idea stays. And ideas don't need faces. But wait, here's the final layer. The most powerful faceless creators don't try to be seen. They try to be remembered. Because memory doesn't store faces first. It stores impact, emotion, clarity, meaning. And that's why faceless content spreads faster. Because your brain doesn't need a person. It needs something that sticks. So next time you hear a faceless voice, ask yourself one thing. Am I trusting the message or the mystery? Because that line is getting harder to see, and in a world of invisible voices, clarity becomes power. Not appearance, not fame, not identity, but truth that holds weight. And now you understand something most people don't. Faceless authority isn't about hiding. It's about influence without identity. And once you notice it, you start seeing it everywhere. And you can't unsee it.